My name is Gift. In 2014, I got married to Michael, the man I thought was the love of my life. I remember our wedding day like it was yesterday. My heart was full of hope, and my dreams for the future were endless. Michael was everything I wanted in a husband. He was kind, caring, and hardworking, or at least that's what I thought. We met at a wedding in 2012, and from the very first day, he made me feel special. He swept me off my feet with flowers, long phone calls, and promises of a bright future. When he proposed, I didn't think twice. I said yes because I believed in him and the life we were going to build together. The first year of our marriage was like a dream. We lived like best friends, always laughing, planning, and dreaming. We talked about our future children, and even joked about whose features they would inherit. Michael wanted boys, while I dreamed of having a girl who looked like me. We were happy, truly happy. But then, life started to change. The struggle for a baby. By the end of our first year of marriage, we decided it was time to have children. We thought it would happen quickly, but month after month, I kept getting negative pregnancy tests. At first, Michael was supportive. He held me when I cried, telling me it wasn't my fault. But as time went on, his patience began to fade. We went to doctors, ran tests, and tried every medical option available to us. But nothing seemed to work. Every time the doctor said, "Just keep trying," it felt like another punch to my chest. By 2015, the excitement of trying for a baby had turned into stress. Every month, I dreaded the disappointment. Michael started avoiding conversations about children. His once loving words became short and cold. And then came the whispers. His family starts to interfere. Michael's family started coming to our house more often, asking questions that made me feel like I was under attack. His sisters were the worst. "Gift, you've been married for over a year now," one of them said during a visit. "When are we going to hear the cry of a baby in this house?" I would force a smile, trying to explain that we were working on it, but they didn't care. "Do you want to close our lineage? Michael is our only brother. If you can't give him a child, then let another woman do it." I looked to Michael for support, but he said nothing. He just sat there, quiet, as his sisters humiliated me in my own home. The pressure kept building. I would cry myself to sleep, wondering if I was the problem. Was I not enough? By 2017, I was running out of options. I couldn't bear the insults anymore, and Michael wasn't helping. He refused to consider IVF or adoption, saying he wanted a child that came directly from my womb. His words made me feel like a failure. One night, I called my mom, crying so hard I could barely speak. "Mom, I don't know what to do anymore," I told her. "Michael's family is pressuring him to marry another woman. They think I'm barren." My mom tried to comfort me. Then she said something I hadn't considered before. "Gift, what if your sister helps you? She's young and she loves you. Maybe she could be your surrogate." At first, I wasn't sure. Asking my sister to carry my child felt like too much. But the more I thought about it, the more it seemed like the only solution. I called my sister and explained everything to her. I promised to help her in return, either by sending her abroad, where she had always wanted to go, or giving her enough money to start a business. She agreed, and for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. But I had no idea I was opening the door to betrayal. When my sister came to live with us, I felt relieved. I believed she was there to save my marriage. At first, everything seemed fine. She got along well with Michael, and I didn't think much of it. But after a few weeks, I started noticing little things. My sister and Michael would laugh together, sometimes about jokes I didn't understand. They seemed to have their own little world. I told myself it was nothing. They were just bonding as in-laws, right? But as time went on, I couldn't ignore the signs. My sister kept avoiding the surrogacy discussions. "Just give me a little more time," she would say. Months passed, and she still hadn't done anything. One day, a friend called me, saying she had seen Michael and my sister at the mall. "Gift, they were holding hands," she said. I laughed nervously, brushing it off. "You're overthinking it," I told her. But deep down, something didn't feel right. One night, Michael came home late and went straight to bed. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to check his phone. What I found shattered my heart. There were messages between him and my sister, intimate messages. They talked about how much they loved each other, how excited they were about their baby, and even mocked me. "She's so boring in bed," one message read. "I'm glad you're the one carrying my child," another said. My sister had told Michael that I was barren. She told him I'd had multiple abortions during my university days and had my womb removed. All lies. But Michael believed her. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. The next morning, I confronted them. My voice was shaking, but I had to know the truth. Are you sleeping with my husband? I asked my sister. She didn't deny it. Michael didn't deny it. Instead, he looked me in the eye and said, I love her gift. She's carrying my child. There's nothing you can do about it. I called my family, hoping they would support me. But when they arrived, they told me to forgive. She's your sister, my mom said. Don't let this ruin your family. How could I forgive? My own blood had betrayed me. My husband, the man I gave everything to, had betrayed me. The night I discovered the betrayal, I cried until there were no more tears left in me. I had confronted them, poured out my pain, and listened as they both chose each other over me. My family came, but instead of standing with me, they asked me to forgive and move on as if my pain didn't matter. It became clear that staying in that house, under the same roof where my heart had been torn to pieces, would only destroy me further. So I made a decision that shocked everyone. I packed my things and left. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't beg for explanations anymore. I simply walked out the door, leaving behind the home I had built, the man I had once loved, and the sister I could never trust again. I had no plan, no idea where I was going. But one thing was certain. I couldn't stay there and watch them build a life together while I fell apart. When I left, I went back to the one place where I knew I could find some comfort, my mother's house. She welcomed me with open arms, but even there, the shadows of betrayal followed me. I couldn't look at her without remembering how she had asked me to forgive my sister. I couldn't trust her the way I used to. So, after a few weeks, I decided to leave again. This time it was for good. I rented a small apartment on the other side of town. It wasn't much, just a single room with a tiny kitchen and a bed pushed against the wall. But it was mine. For the first time in years, I had a space where I didn't feel judged, betrayed, or unwanted. I started working long hours, pouring myself into my job. I saved every penny I could, determined to build a life where I would never have to rely on anyone again. News of my sister and my husband, no, her husband now, reached me even though I tried to avoid it. They got married less than 6 months after I left. It was a small ceremony, but that didn't matter to me. Then came the news that she was pregnant. I thought the pain would come rushing back, but instead I felt nothing. I was numb. By the time she had their second child, I had trained myself not to care. I blocked them from my life completely. No calls, no messages, no family gatherings where I might run into them. I told my mother and anyone who tried to mediate, I don't want anything to do with them. Don't bring them up to me again. I didn't attend birthdays, weddings, or funerals if I thought they'd be there. To me, they were ghosts. Dead. It took time, but slowly, I began to find myself again. I realized that I had spent so many years trying to please others. My husband, his family, even my own family, that I had forgotten who I was. So I started dreaming again. I had always loved fashion. Even before I got married, I dreamed of starting my own clothing line. I decided it was time to stop dreaming and start doing. I enrolled in a design course, working during the day and studying at night. At first, it was exhausting. I was often too tired to think, but the more I pushed myself, the more I realized I was stronger than I thought. I started making clothes for friends and coworkers, and soon, word spread about my designs. By the time I finished the course, I had enough clients to turn my passion into a full-time business. My clothing line grew faster than I could have imagined. What started as a small home-based business became something much bigger. I rented a studio, hired a small team, and even started showcasing my designs at local fashion shows. For the first time in years, I felt truly alive. I didn't just build a business. I built a life that was mine and mine alone. I traveled to places I had always wanted to see. I made new friends who didn't know about my past and didn't pity me. I created a world where I was the center, not an afterthought or. People often ask me why I didn't date or remarry. The truth was, I wasn't ready to let anyone in again. The betrayal I had experienced left scars that didn't heal overnight. I wasn't bitter or angry anymore, but I was careful. I didn't want to open my heart to someone who might hurt me the way Michael had. Besides, I didn't need a partner to feel complete. I was enough. Over the years, my family tried to reconnect me with my sister and her family. My mother begged me to let go of the past and forgive them. But forgiveness didn't mean I had to welcome them back into my life. I forgave them, not for their sake, but for mine. I refused to carry the burden of their betrayal any longer. But I also refused to let them back into my world. I made it clear to everyone. I wish them well, but I don't want them in my life. I have nothing to say to them. Let them live their lives, and I'll live mine. Today, I am a different woman. I am no longer the scared, heartbroken wife who begged for love and acceptance. I am a woman who knows her worth. I've built a life that makes me proud. My clothing line is thriving. My days are filled with creativity and purpose, and my nights are peaceful. I don't look back at my past with anger anymore. I look back with gratitude for the lessons it taught me. Because of that betrayal, I found strength I didn't know I had. I learned to love myself in ways I never had before. I became the woman I was always meant to be. To anyone listening, if you're listening to my story, know this. Life will break you sometimes. People you love and trust will betray you in ways you never imagined. But no matter how deep the pain, you can rise again. You don't need anyone's permission to rebuild your life. You don't need anyone to believe in you as long as you believe in yourself. I am Gift. I am a survivor. And I am living proof that even after the darkest night, the sun will rise again.